So this workshop today, we've called it Communication and Organisation. Obviously, that's a very broad topic and it can mean a lot of different things. Nagisa and I don't pretend to think that we know everything about communication and organisation. And in fact, what we're really hoping is that today presents an opportunity for you to take 2 hours out to just think about the way you do things, maybe get some different ideas about how to do things, learn from each other. This is really not about us telling you stuff, but more about exploring ideas and coming up with some thoughts about new ways to do things. So we hope that you find it valuable. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Nagisa for the first activity that we do today.
Okay, that was very interesting, your feedback on the Moodles. And the Moodles, of course, are definitely very, very important communication tool between the students and ourselves. Now here, I just still want you to think about about communication now. Why Alex and I have decided to do this workshop, Organisation and Communication. Now, they are actually very, very common theme appeared in my experience. And as you all know, that my experiences of students' voices and the very valuable resources for improving ourselves and our courses. So have a look their comments. They're actually literally copy and pasted from my experience. And the purple one, the best things about the course, and the green ones that could be improved. I want you to just read through first. As often, our students' voice not necessarily use the term organizational communication directly, but they are referred to something to do with them. If you look at the best things about the course, which one do you think that would be referred to the communication? Anyone, can you tell? Can I ask? How about, I haven't really talked to you yet. Vincent, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yep. Yeah, okay, good. Vincent, how did I describe about the communication? Which one was the word referred to the communication?
To me, is the second one.
Okay.
Even the first one, still communication. It gives you feedback. Well.
Yeah. Okay. And then second one, which words do you think is about the communication? Is it the entire sentence or any particular phrase that you found that, oh, this is a communication?
Very easy to talk.
Yeah.
Feedback, things like that, like communication. Engaging, asking questions. Yeah, something like that. They tend to be more about communications.
Yep. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. So it seems like students find that if teachers easy to talk to or approachable, and they find it's good that they're part of it, they feel that they're part of the community, they're welcome. Therefore, they think that they have a good communication. Sometimes you get the dialect actually word to say that. The last one, the good thing about the course, that's another, it's more of like organization, organized the schedule and assignments. That's a good, but it doesn't really refer to the communication, it seems like, but at the same time, if you organize the schedule and assignment very well, that's how you communicate it with the students. So those two are very, very related. And then something you could have improved is the students said that there was a bit of mess in the structure. Yeah. Interestingly, this extracts is from the same course at the same time. So some students said that organized the schedule, while some other students said that bit of a mess. So completely two different opinions on about the same cause. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, now I want you to think about a little bit communication. Now we want to focus on the communication. Since I'm a lecturer of Japanese studies, I teach languages. So I'm really kind of like looking at the communication all the time. If I use accidentally Japanese when I'm talking, I'm so sorry. It's my habit. I can't just sometimes help. If you understand the Japanese, please let me know. We can chat in Japanese. But I want you to think about what actually communication is. What do you think? Yeah? Can I ask some of you? What is communication? Anyone?
Yeah. Probably I can contribute to this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I see communication as the conveying of messages successfully from A to B. Yeah, and ensuring smooth flow of that information.
Okay, so conveying information. It's good. Very well summarized. Thank you. And I think Ava, you put your hands up.
Yes, I think communication, there are two important things. One is conveying, another one is receiving. From my personal experience, sometimes some of the students feel they are not communicated well because what the lecturers think they have been conveying is not well received by the students. So from the teaching team, we will say, oh, I have communicated everything. But from the student perspective, they may feel, I didn't receive the message or I didn't receive it very well. Yes, I think for communication, both the two things are really critical.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very, as a communication lecturer, I would give very good mark to you, Ava. Thank you. And Ali.
Yeah, and I think in this process of conveying and receiving, much importance is given to the medium. Are we communicating verbally? Are we using any multimedia in this process? Yeah, so this probably will invite the communicator to be good at using these media and paying attention to how meaning might be perceived by the receivers in general.
Yeah, it's a very good comment actually, because nowadays we got so many different modes that need to use to communicate each other. So it's very important what kind of mode it's being used to communicate. Yes, and Sivan.
I was just going to make a comment on the first quote that was there about there being no communication that's so simple that it cannot be misunderstood. Thinking I've got lots of little baby cousins at the moment and they point at something and they do their grabby hand and you know that they want whatever they've been pointing at, or you try and take something away and they turn away from you. So I would say when we're thinking about communicating with our students, what we've lost in COVID is being able to see that body language. And then because there are different modes, you can't chat to your student face to face and say, how are you taking the online communication mode? Is it working for you? And we only get it sort of at the end of the course, or we only get feedback in writing. Some students might be like, yeah, it's okay. And you're like, okay, yeah, it's okay. And the shrug means that there's, something that's an issue there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like when I teach Japanese, I always said that it's not the word it's said, it's like an entire package that you receive message. I think you all covered everything very, very well. So before the workshop, I just did a bit of a, research what other people said about the communication. And of course,
could you mention just a minor thing, please?
Sure, Jose, sorry.
It's just very interesting what you're saying. is because we are teaching to a big audience. This is what I see here, no? So one thing is when we communicate with other person or with a small group, and a different situation is when we are teaching, for instance, in my case, 300 students, and some of them are not good in certain knowledge they should have, but they don't have. And others are very advanced, so they are very mature students, able to digest whatever we said. So and then we are talking to different audience simultaneously. And then sometimes some of the students get good communication because they are receiving what we are saying and they understand. And you have others sector, who are not in condition to follow and they lose completely the communication. So, and that is one of the issues that I usually have in my subjects. So for me, communication is very important, but I don't know sometimes how to maintain in parallel, this simultaneous communication with different audience. So do you think it's something that we could discuss as well?
Yes, thank you. Actually, now, because Jose pointed at the point, I think all of your answers covered all the points that I was going to discuss with you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So the definition of a dictionary is a very simple one, exchange information by speaking, writing, so on, so on. But there are the quotes from different people about their communication. And the blue ones basically said that you need to kind of be aware of that. Misunderstanding occurs all the time. That's normal. You need to think about a communication because, it's almost impossible to get completely understood each other. And Hemingway, this is something I think Eva was saying, listening. When you communicate, people don't listen to others, just want to say. Yeah? And then the last one, no matter how information technology advances, still we fail in communication. It's interesting, isn't it? And then, so how can we effectively communicate? And here is the point Jose made. Now, we're all different. And the same as the students are all different. They have all different cultural backgrounds. They have all different upbringing. They all have different personalities. So we are completely different people. And therefore, we have a different way we perceive the world. So something like, as Jose said, if you have 300 students, for example, you need to kind of be aware of that. Is it possible to have 300 different interpretations of your instruction? It's just the matter of, the way of you thinking. You think that, okay, I have told this one to the student. I have written this one to Moodle. I put everything onto Moodle. Here you go, so they should understand. I think we need to think about that notion too differently, or always you prepare yourself that miscommunication occurs all the time because we're different. We receive things differently. And I like this Andre's quote. I have this one always in my mind. Sometimes you don't assume that your student understands the information you have provided. It's so obvious to you, but maybe those things are one you need to emphasize to the students. Yeah. So it's just a different way of thinking of the communication. And I think it's very difficult how to improve it. But I found out the most important thing is just to think about, reflect what you've been doing, and also you talk to others what they are doing. And you just do try and error sometimes and to see what works best for you. And look at actually this one. It's I call this one communication network. You tend to think about just communication between you and your students. I'm not 100% sure whether you coordinate a course, but let's say you're a coordinator and you have a communication with the students. That's a very intense communication channel. But also you have communication with your teaching team. You need to kind of like, talk to the team what you are doing and what you expect them to do. And the teaching team, your tutors, of course, they have very intense communication with the students. So the red arrows, that's the kind of the main communication channels in the course. But not only that happened, it's a little bit more, because you communicate your professional teams in your school or department to find out all the regulations, the due date, what is available, all those things. So the communication with the professional team is important, and your team, they also communicate with the professional team. And the students also send email to the school about enrollment or deadline, so on, so on. That happens as well. So the blue one, in a way, it's kind of hidden, but there are the communication channels. And the green one is actually the arrows, the communication channels in the future. You always talk to your colleagues in your department or school. Yeah? Often students don't take just your course, your colleagues' courses as well. So students will have a communication with your colleagues, and it's important that if you have a channel between you as a coordinator and the colleagues to talk about maybe the course, what you've been doing, the Moodle, how you are using, and about the students themselves as well. As you just witnessed that some Moodles are different, and some of you are saying that you have a kind of a uniform Moodle style in your school or department or program, but not every school is like that. So it's all different. And I think it's very important to have a good communication with the colleagues as well. Okay, so that was a little bit about the communication. Maybe Alex, would you like to do our next activity?
Sure. So like we always do in workshops like this, where we've underestimated how much time everything takes. So I'm going to modify this one slightly. What I would like to invite you to do is, now that Nagisa has talked to you about the importance of communication and making sure that students really know what's going on, just take a few minutes to look at your course schedule. And if you haven't already, I assume everybody already has it mapped out in some kind of table or calendar or something like that. If you don't, I'm going to post a link to some templates in the chat, which I'll show you in a minute. But you can download these templates and use one of them if you would like to. But if you've already got one there, just in the interest of time, you can look at your existing one and just annotate it to indicate where you need to add communication tasks. So I think most people, when they map out their course in a table or a calendar, they put in the things like the lectures, the tutes, the assessment tasks, but maybe not the tasks that you need to do on the communication side of things. When are you going to check the discussion forum? When will you provide feedback on an assessment task? When do you need to make an announcement? Things like that. And I'll just give you a little quick walk through these templates that you can use them after this workshop if you'd like to do something a bit different. Hang on, I'll have to stop presenting and start again. Okay, here. So we've got we've got 5 different templates here. This one's just a daily to-do list, essentially. It's got every day of the term, and you can put anything you want in each of the cells, so it's very versatile. This one, template 2, is the same kind of thing, except for each day of the term, it's explicitly broken down into learning activities, assessments, and communication tasks. So if that appeals to you, you could use that. Template 3, I call the student-centered course schedule because it differentiates between what the students are doing and what you need to do, and also both what happens in class and what happens outside of class. And I personally find this one really helpful because it reminds you if you need to tell students to do something before the next class because you've put it there into the schedule. Template 4 is, this is the kind of thing you probably would put in your course outline. It's just week by week, learning activities, assessments, that kind of thing. And this last one is a bit of a different one. This is one I've seen used by one of our colleagues in renewable energy engineering. He gives his students a guide of how many hours they should expect to spend on different elements of his course each week so that they can manage their workload. But also, really importantly, it allows him to do a reality check on how much he's asking them to do and whether they can actually do it in the time that they're expected to use on this course. So that's what's in the chat there, that file. And I think I've made it so you can't edit it, so that you'll have to download it so you don't all start messing with each other's files. But just maybe spend 5 minutes or so just looking at your own course map or using one of these to specifically look at where you need to schedule communication tasks. 2, if anyone's already got all their communication tasks mapped out, another thing that you could do instead, which is indicated by this little Here Be Dragons thing, is you could look at your course and look for possible areas of risk, things that might change, and mark them for your attention for making a contingency plan. Thank you. Well, that's actually a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next. So Nagisa's going to take over here to talk about managing a teaching team.
Hi, just want to ask you that who has coordinated a course and then had a experience of team teaching? Can you please raise your hand? Just to Siobhan, and is it Georgie? And there is a Ulrich. Yeah, a couple of you. Okay.
Siobhan, Vincent, Revathi.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Can I ask? So, what do you expect from your tutors? Those put your hands up. Can you tell us what do you expect from your tutors? Reva, want to start? Yeah. Oh, okay. Georgie?
Sorry, me or someone else want to go?
Yeah. Georgie, fine. You can go first.
I expect them all to teach the same way in terms of teaching, like, they will be having a set of material to cover. Definitely, I understand that tutors would have different way to pass the message and to communicate with the student, and that's definitely something I encourage. At the same time, I make sure they cover a set of contents in the class in terms of what needs to be covered. I set up a plan for them, how much it should be there. And in terms of marking assignment, I think Siobhan covered it very well. I would just add one little thing in terms of I get them to provide me with few assignments, let's say 2 or 3, and I'll see them and see, make sure they have followed the rubric well, and that's according to the expectation. And most important, I always expect them and encourage them to provide feedback, either verbally in class on how the student would need to improve, or when they mark the assignment, okay, you did not get 100 over 100 or 10 over 10 because you need to do 1, 2, 3. So these are the few things that I focus on every time as meet with the tutor, either for teaching or for marking or for anything else.
Thank you. And who else? I think Ulrich. Sorry, am I saying your name right?
George. Me or sorry.
Do you mean me?
Somebody else. Yeah.
I have many hands up.
No. Sorry. Who else? Sorry, it was a Georgie. Who was it? Oh, Rivacy. Did you put your hand up?
I didn't, but I can add a little bit more. Maybe what I expect from my tutor is that he should like at least kind of prepare for that particular class the day before so that he can answer students' question. Though they may be little new for the course, because I had one teaching assistant for my practical course. He was very new to this course, but we didn't have any option because of the COVID. But he used to ask me questions then and there, and which was so difficult for me. So I basically want somebody who can, handle the course without my guidance. And he is okay now, but in the beginning it was so difficult. I think that's all it is. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ava? Yeah.
Yes, I think I just want to follow up what George has mentioned. What we have been doing in the previous course is, first, the head tutor is me. I will mark a low performance, medium performance, and high performance assessment as a template. And the new tutors or any other tutors would like to check how Ava has marked the course and whether her understanding of the marking rubrics is similar with what I'm interpreting. Another way is that the new tutors could volunteer to mark a few assessments and invite me or the course commander to have a check. So this to make sure the marking rubrics are used in a appropriate way. And I think another thing, because I've been a head tutor and I do have some expectations for my tutors. And recently I updated my thought because I was thinking it's very important to keep the consistency across all, tutorials. It has been reported by the students that, why something is happening in another tutorial class, but not in my class. So I'm thinking how we can make sure the consistency is in a satisfied level. I think the recent idea is we can have a checklist. Say, did you, give specific feedback to your students at least once in this class? And did you show, like positivity? Because there's some comments saying, my tutor is really indifferent. She doesn't care and she doesn't passionate about the content. I think that's something we can design, maybe just one checklist for the tutor to do once in a course. So it's more like the minimum starting point. Then in that sense, we might increase consistency across tutorials. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Siobhan.
Just to build on what everyone else has said, one thing that Ava mentioned that I find quite useful is that I have my senior tutors. They will mentor my tutors that are coming in. And so the senior tutors have been sort of trained in my way, but they've got their own way, but I know that they're familiar with teaching the students and they know the content. And I do observations of them every term and give them feedback. So they've had that professional development, and then they take on the first years and guide them. And I think that's really useful in terms of passing on, content knowledge and teaching knowledge and things like that. And I suppose the other thing I do, which I don't know how well it works out, but guiding the students so that they have all the materials they need to be able to mark and teach the best as possible, but also letting them know that they need to check in with me if they have any questions, because sometimes they just roll with it, but they have hesitancies and they don't check in. So really stressing that they need to communicate with me. I'll give them things, but, and I'll check in with them, but they need to give me back as well in order for us to sort out any issues that come up.
Thank you. Very good ideas come up. Now, so the next one, I want you to watch this video because we have talked about how we expect from our tutors, and how about casual tutors just don't want to listen to their expectation of their coordinator. So it's just from the other way around. Okay, Alex, can you?
Okay, I've just been grappling with my AV in the background, so let me know if you can't.
Interesting, isn't it, to listen to from their perspectives? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened.
What happened? It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Move on to next slide.
I just moved on so that it didn't keep.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So as a coordinator, of course, we need to support the team, and the team, we support each other. As a coordinator, how can we support the team? First of all, I think it's very important to look at the who's in the team. Yeah, you might have a tutor who's new to UNSW, although she or he is very, very experienced at other institutions. Or you might have a tutor who's very new to teach, first time teaching, and of course they require different kind of support. Or also new to Australia, teaching in a different country, even she or he is highly experienced tutor, there is a different challenge exists. And as a coordinator, I do believe that it's a responsibility to know this, what supporting systems available for tutors. For example, many schools and faculties, they run their own workshops for newly appointed tutors or academics. So it's very difficult, overwhelmed to gather those information. So if you can provide them, that will help them. Also, understand their duties and then, how the payment system works. For example, casual tutors, they have a different rate for PhD holders or not PhD, still are doing a PhD, and hourly rate is different. And for 1 hour rate, that includes 1 hour delivery and 2 associated working time, only 2 hours. So for example, if you have a 1 hour tutorial, that it's just a 1 hour delivery time, but only 2 hours associated working time is being paid. If you want to run a meeting, it's just you have to pay it differently. So it's very, very limited time that they're given. Also, because of that, it's maybe you can think about how to minimize their preparation time. If your 2 hours they fully use for preparation of the tutorial they deliver, there's no time left for communication. So maybe you might be able to make your own lesson plan for the course weekly and provide all the tutors. In that sense, they will know clearly what's the aim for this week, what kind of activities they need to do, and then what should be achieved in a class. You might want to create new materials for tutorial and then provide them. In that sense, if you do that, they can minimize preparation time. And at the same time, maybe you should have a strategy for communicating if the meeting time is limited. One of the tutor mentions that the weekly report, and I think I like using that as well. It works very well. For example, if you do a lecture, tell all the teaching team that what happened in the lecture. Whether you completed all the lecture slides or which section the students seems to confuse or had more questions, and how many actually students attended the lecture even. And then somebody who had the first tutorial have the similar report to the team. In the sense, not actually only you can hear from the tutor, as a coordinator, you you will know what's going on in each class. Means like you can use those reports to understand about the students. Often, if you are not in the class, it's very difficult to understand what's going on in each class. But if you have a report from different tutors, you can hear from them. Yeah. Also, it's very important to get feedback on your materials or lesson plans, because they're very, very valuable voices, and they can be used to improve your course materials, resources, and assessment, your lesson plans, etc. And the last three, but not least, I think Siobhan was saying that about observation. I do observe my all the tutors very often, and I always welcome them to come to my classes as well. I think it's very important to have the system, their professional development, especially when they're new. I ask them to come to my tutorial first, and then we discuss with the tutor after my tutorial if they have any questions, and also I ask them their feedback. In that sense, I can improve my class as well. And I go to their classes as well to observe and to give them feedback. We talk after the class as well, how they felt about the class, etc., etc. And it's ongoing. Once you get used to with the course, it's not the end of the observation. It's ongoing. We keep doing. So if you do that, the whole teaching team will get better and improve. Yeah. Any comment that you want to mention out here? Anyone? Okay.
I think just very quick reflection. I think there's a trade-off we need to make between having the tutors to do more things like the weekly class report versus we want to minimize their working hours, especially when the tutors are part-time staff. They have their job in the daytime.
That's right.
So, that's the trade-off we need to make.
Yeah, so that's why we need to cut down the preparation time. So they only have 2 hours. That's something you need to have in your mind. Yeah, if you have quite good lesson plan, it's like a cooking recipe. You tell them what to do, and they give all the materials. The professional chef, if you give the recipe of bolognese and they give all the ingredients, they won't cook sushi. Yeah, but the bolognese might have a little bit spicier than your bolognese. That's fine. That's perfectly fine, and I think that should be. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay, Alex, would you like to continue? Next one, I can hand it to you.
Sure. So we're going to do one last thing before we finish up. And to make the most of this activity, which we're going to do in breakout rooms again, I'm going to put you just in groups of 2 so that you've got plenty of time to just talk to each other, because as we said at the beginning, we really believe that you learn from each other more than anything else. So what we thought we'd do is, since we've been talking about all of these different facets of organisation, communication, assessment, communication and organisation blend together. Students feel a sense of chaos if the course is disorganised and they don't know what's going on, but also if the course is well organised but it's not communicated well, so they can't see the method in the madness. So as we already discussed, their main focus is about assessment. That's the single most important thing to them. And so we need to communicate the assessment clearly. And if we've done that one thing, then that will reduce their stress and improve their overall experience of the course, because they're not wasting cognitive effort on just trying to figure out what they need to do to pass the course. They can just get on with learning the material and demonstrating that they've learnt it.